Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good evening and welcome to Fade to Black Cinema. I'm Michael, your Bougie Black Brother. And I'm here with my co-host, Alicia.
Hello, hello.
And today we went to see a movie that a lot of people was not really wanting to see, and critics was very, very critical in positive and negative ways. But I definitely wanted to see it because it was a character that I was very interested in, that everyone always called evil. And the movie is called Vice.
It's an evil movie.
So, and what's funny about this, you know, not haha funny, but a lot of people thought it was be almost serious, but almost satirical, but it was a combination of the two. And what made it good, and I'm not sure if you knew, Alicia, but the director and writer is a man named Adam McKay. And Adam McKay is his partner that he helps produce is Will Ferrell. So he did movies like Talladega Nights, The Good Guys, Anchorman. He wrote actually part of the screenplay, Ant-Man. So he does writing, directing, as well as producing. So he does a lot of comedies. He just doesn't do kind of like serious movies. He's actually a big comedic guy that does some different things. Mm-hmm. And what he really is known for now is The Big Short. And The Big Short was, I think it won awards last year for best writing and adapted screenplay. So he got that, and his main actor on there was Christian Bale. So he grabbed Christian Bale and brought him to this movie. He grabbed Steve Carell from that movie and brought him to this movie as well. So he's like one of those directors that continuously bringing actors that he has a good relationship with into his new movie. So I've known him for his comedy stuff that he's done, which is hilarious to me because he has a certain humor that's really, really funny. And I know you've seen a lot of them because we've seen Talladega Nights so many times.
I know. It was hilarious.
And Crazy Ass Anchorman. But this was different because it was based on Dick Cheney. If y'all didn't know about Dick Cheney, this guy, well, let me just say it. The story of Dick Cheney, an unassuming bureaucrat, a bureaucrat in Washington, insider, who quietly welded immense power as vice president to George Bush, reshaping the country and the globe in ways that we still feel. So that's the summary of it. And it's odd because, you know, everyone is just thinking, here is Dick Cheney being this evil, crazy guy and how he jumped in and the Iraq War. So when you saw stuff about it, what was your thoughts on it?
What, the movie Vice?
Vice.
Oh, I didn't know the total story about it. I knew it was about Dick Cheney. And I knew that Christian Bale was in it. And then, you know, because I watched the morning news and how they say how Christian Bale transformed himself, gained all his weight to play Dick Cheney. Yep. Okay. So when I went in there to see it, I swear, when I seen the character Dick Cheney, I could not tell that's Christian Bale. I know. That was fucking. It was
amazing.
I was like, that was fucking amazing. That was one because I was like, that he looked nothing like who he's supposed to look like. So the character he played was perfect.
Yeah. So Christian Bale didn't look nothing like himself.
No. And I thought that was amazing. They should at least nominate them for makeup. I'm sorry. That was definitely one.
So he did win for makeup in the Critics' Choice Award. So he did win for that, which was, I would think so.
So that's the first thing. The second thing was the how would you say, the how they talk. What do you call it? Not the verbiage, not
the writing.
The writing, the dialogue. Mm-hmm. That was fucking amazing as well.
Why did you say
because
that?
It was like snappy, funny. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And you was like, what the hell's wrong with him? You know what I'm saying? And it was like, what the hell? I mean, I like the first part where he driving and speeding, and the police pull him over, and he said, "Yeah, I'm drunk."
Yep.
I was like, okay. And then his wife Lynn basically told him, if you don't get your shit together, I'm leaving you. Cause he dropped out of not dropped, he failed.
Yale, I think.
Yeah. And then the one thing they never said that he ever went to college. They never said that.
So he went to college locally. So he dropped out of Yale and then went locally in Wyoming.
Okay. So that was another funny part too, because it was like his wife had control of him at that, just
a lot more than what you would see during that time,
right?
Even now. You just didn't know really the impact of who she was,
right? Exactly. So the movie was damn funny as hell. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not too how would you say, fast on some of the words or the verbiage or the writing, but the things I did catch, it still to me was funny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the characters, the damn Vice was full with actors, full with known actors.
Yeah. So Amy Adams, played Lynn Cheney.
Yes.
Steve Carell was Donald Rumsfeld.
Right.
And I had to actually remember what Donald Rumsfeld looked like, so I had to go look him up. Sam Rockwell played a hell of a damn George Bush.
Man, he was like stupid funny.
A lot of people forgot that Scooter Libby went to jail and got prosecuted. Lisa Gray Hamilton, she looked nothing like Condoleezza Rice. You would have never known who she was in the movie. But if you see her name is Lisa Gay Hamilton. It was a great transformation to her from there.
Because when you seen her, I said, "Oh, that's Condoleezza Rice."
Yeah, but then I was like, "But who is the actress?"
Right.
So
You didn't know.
Really didn't catch that.
You couldn't tag the actress.
Gerald Ford, Bill Camp.
Yep.
He played a really that portion there. Tyler Perry played Colin Powell.
Yeah, that's what
which was a really good role for him.
Yeah.
He didn't do a lot. He didn't do too much. He did just enough to present himself.
Right. The reactions on his face, him playing Colin Powell, was memorable.
Yeah, that's a good word. That's a good word. It was memorable because it showed that this is some bullshit. You want me to do what?
Yep, exactly.
And it showed, and that's what I enjoyed a lot. I really was like, damn.
Like you said, you was like, you wasn't expecting Tyler Perry to play that role, but he sure enough played that role.
And then it was interesting, the characters that he picked. I mean, the actors that he picked, but they did such good roles. And then the main actors did great, but the secondary actors filled their part.
They sure did.
They didn't really do anything bad. Some of them kind of stood out. Other ones was kind of like, oh, he played such and such. Like the young guy who did the Scalia, Anton Scalia, the Justice, and then the older guy. And he was like, damn, no one look just like them. Shit. And it was interesting all the way through. But that's the movie. So we just talked about the movie of what it looked like.
Yeah, the characters.
But now the story. Now the story was more amazing to me because there's things that I forgot that this crazy guy did. And there was stuff that I didn't realize that he was involved in. I didn't remember that he was I think it was a congressman or a senator from Wyoming.
Yes, senator.
And then his wife represented him because if people didn't know, he had like 5 heart attacks.
Yeah.
5. And it was so crazy throughout the movie. He'd be like, oh, okay, hold on just a moment. Yep. Time to go to the hospital. What's the matter? Yeah, I'm having a heart attack. And he got so used to it.
Yep.
It was like
he knew the feeling.
He knew what was coming.
Yep.
And then Adam McKay had a guy that was actually narrating. And the guy that was narrating was one of the guys that gave him his heart.
Yeah, he's like, okay, so you don't know who I am,
but you will sooner or later.
You'll know sooner or later.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell?
I was like, so that must be his brother, or that must be somebody in his family. But you didn't realize he was one of the people that gave up his heart for fucking Dick Cheney.
Yeah, he was like, and almost like he was like, fuck, like, why does that have to happen?
That why I had to save this guy. But so it went through a process through his life and through the Reagan administration during Nixon time and the corruption that was on the GOP side. And you see how it slowly built up. It wasn't like a quick thing like we suddenly saw it during the Bush administration. It was way back in Nixon and when these guys starting to get together. And Rumsfeld was in the Senate and he moved out and was the Department of the Defense. And he started doing so much other things. It was just, you just see how it was built up. And they was creating their own system within the government.
Right.
And Cheney was just picking up all these little things and partnering with people and contractors. And when he finally got an opportunity to say, well, I can be president, because his wife said, you deserve to be president.
Right.
It's your time. But they had a whole list, and I wanted to find out if that was real too. They had a list of candidates that should run, and his name was at the bottom.
Right, his name was at the bottom.
And so he was kind of like, well, I just give up and
but
go
remember,
from there.
he said that because of his daughter being gay was another reason why he couldn't do it.
Right, and that was interesting because I remember during the time that he was against gay marriage.
Exactly.
And everyone was saying, how could you be against gay marriage when your daughter's gay? But he never commented on it. And then when his other daughter started to run, and then they went against him. And then later on, he came back and said, no, I'm for gay marriage. My daughter's gay. And I don't care what the hell you say. And he was unapologetic with everything that he did.
Except for when his daughter ran. She felt bad because she was her numbers were so low. She knew she was going to lose.
She did, but she wanted them to allow her to do that.
Yeah.
And then when she did it, it was like, she kind of like broke the family.
Yeah.
Even though.
Yeah.
Because the other sister knew that there was no way she would say that unless
her father
mom and dad approved it.
Yep.
And that's what they was pissed at.
Yep.
But then he came back and was just like, no, I love my daughter. And it was so funny because the way he act in public and what you seen him, it was almost like he didn't want to have nothing to do with his daughter. Mm-hmm. He never mentioned her. He never brought her around. Or if she did, it was very limited. But he showed a lot in this movie that he loved his daughters. He loved the hell out of them, no matter what. When the mom was like, you can't tell nobody that you gay. What the hell is wrong with you? Don't you know what your father's doing? And he was like, it's okay, baby. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Whoever you love is who you love. I'm okay.
Yeah,
and it was like, wow.
Yeah, he came out and say that first to his daughter, and his wife was mad as hell.
She was mad as hell because she had a plan for him.
Yeah,
so Amy Adams was so manipulative, but she was great at setting things up. And she was in these committees and organizations to ensure that whatever he did, he had coverage. So they was a team doing this shit. And that's what made me really interesting in how, Lynn Cheney really structured his life on how to be successful in that way. Right. And I thought that was amazing. Her part in it.
Yes, it was. It was really amazing.
But Christian Bale playing Dick Cheney and the way Dick Cheney talk and
Dick Cheney and the other character that I was like fucking hilarious was Sam Rockwell, which is
George Bush character.
George W. Bush.
George W. Bush.
I mean, when he sat there and just was eating that chicken leg.
No, well, with the chicken leg, but the first one was the ribs.
Right.
So the first time it was ribs, and the other time he was sitting there with chicken legs. Yeah. He said, "Come on, man, come on. You don't you know you want to do it? Yeah. Come on, man, come on." And I was like, God damn! And I said, this dude is so stupid. But guess what? That's who he was.
Yeah.
And Cheney was like, you're too stupid to understand what needs to be done. And George Bush was kind of like, I'm not smart enough to pay attention to this stuff, so go ahead and do it.
Yeah, because when he met the father at the banquet.
Yeah.
And then his father said, "Oh man, let me handle my son."
And then his wife he was like, who's that? And the wife was like, oh, yeah, that's the son.
Yeah. And the son who ran for president. Yeah. So
they said, which one's running for president? Then they said, Jeb? He's like, no, he's governor. He said, what? Yeah, they calling me to meet with him. And, you know, that's when they was all taken out of office and all of that. So all of that was like really, really interesting how they was placing in the Republicans who they wanted. And they was setting them in place. And he's supposed to have been one of the leaders, but it was kind of like, no, we don't want him there. So he made a decision in his career that he can still have power, but behind the scenes, and no one can do anything about it.
Right.
And what I enjoyed a lot about it, when they showed the 9/11 portion and he went from there, it was like he was there and he told them, no, I got this. They was like, well, we're going to wait on the president? No, we're not.
I'll handle it.
He said, this is what we're going to do.
Yep.
And he was kind of like, oh, shit.
Yeah, they all looking at him like, what the hell?
Wait a minute, what the fuck?
Yep, exactly.
But they couldn't do anything because he was a vice president. And then he told him, none of us can be in the same place at once again.
Yeah.
Not doing this kind of crisis.
Right.
So you can never check Cheney through the president because he made it established that, no, I'm going to do things separate. Then this is the one thing I was talking to the guys about. They said all of their emails would be destroyed and not archived. So no one will know what they were talking about and nothing will be lingering on any server because they would destroy them. So they had no records of all the transactions and shit that they was cheating on. And they did it as a process, not even a law or a bill or anything. They was kind of like, no, this is what we're going to do.
Wow.
And then they showed that little map that they had on the table that he placed people, he moved Bush's people totally out, or he had a Bush person there, but one of his people was sitting right beside them.
Right.
So their authority was nothing because he sat a person next to him, and he had an office at the Pentagon, he had an office at the Congress, and he had an office at the White House, and I think at the FBI. He had his own office that he would go to each and every one of those places. Before anything get to the president, he would get the memos, and then he would forward it on. So he ensured that whatever information was being filtered, he was able to say, nope, that don't go to him, or nope, redact, just give him this.
Right.
So he was running the government, and I was like, this guy is amazing.
Yeah.
This guy is just totally something else.
Yeah.
But it was a great way to see who this guy was.
Yeah, it sure was.
You just saw all the things that he did, but I had to respect how he got to that point. You know what I mean? He did a lot of work before he got to the point of being in control. He was a
crooked, underhanded, sneaky bastard.
Yeah, in all ways. He find whatever way he could to do that. So that's how he worked on it. And it was just amazing. So with that said, and you looked at the total movie, you saw how the writing and the dialogue, and it was almost like a biopic of Cheney's life. What did you said how you enjoyed it, but how would you rate this movie?
Well, you know how much I hate politics.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I despise it. So this was enjoyable to the point I would give it a 7.
Oh, okay. So you enjoyed it, but you didn't like it.
I mean, I enjoyed it, yeah, and I didn't like it, yeah.
I'm on this. You do things like that, so I'm not going to question it.
Okay.
So I got this as an 8.25 because I enjoyed the fact that these are some things I didn't know. The acting was fantastic on there. The writing was crisp and funny and informative. The stuff that I did know, it showed it. It may not have lingered on it, but it showed it. And I enjoyed the fact that, you know, when they showed the stuff that I kind of researched and did, yep, that's exactly what he did. Yep, he did that as well. Yep, he worked for Halliburton. Yep, he did this, he did that. And I was telling them a lot of the stuff that we take for granted what actually Cheney did. He ensured that regulation and all of these side businesses was able to do work and gain cash. And they gave him, Halliburton gave him a $25 million severance when he left to be vice president. And he had $25 million to leave because they knew he would be funneling money to them. So that was a plan that he actually did, which is, how smart was that? So he was a millionaire regardless, and then he was going to make money off the contract and the contractors and Halliburton and what's that? It was the other one, Blackwater. And,
Blackwater.
And stuff with that. And he organized all of that. And he had contacts with every single one of them. But, so he had it at 7. I had it at 8.25. And this is one of the movies that's in line for the Oscars. It did
Christian
win.
Bale.
Christian Bale did win for Best Actor.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Adams was nominated for Best Actress, and the movie and the screenplay are actually nominated too. But for now, as these are coming on, this is a very, very entertaining movie and informative movie because it has some historic facts and it had humor and it had some things that really would piss you off. Mm-hmm. Once you realize that this is what this guy and the GOP actually been doing for years, and now you feeling a lot of what they're doing in the current administration as well.
Yep, you sure do. You're right about that.
Sure. Anyway, like I said, it's 7 and 8.5. Really entertaining movie. Fade to Black Cinema. Every Wednesday. Check us out every Wednesday. Movies, TV series. We do our ratings. We trying to get around to doing a lot of the actual Oscar-nominated movies because we'll do our Oscar review right before it goes off because we like to do that and do our checkoffs. So we're doing some round robins on a couple of those. Got to see the Stars Born and Green Book, and there's a couple of them every year that we just say, I'm not going to see that. There ain't no way I'm going to see that. But there's a lot of them that I actually do want to see. If Beale Street Could Talk, I really want to see that.
Yeah, I
too.
want to see that now. Yeah, definitely want to see that.
By Jenkins. I forgot his name, but he did Moonlight, which was an amazing movie, and you can understand why he won that based on this new movie that's really emotional in that end. So we're going to see, we on our Oscar run right now.
Yeah,
so
we are.
You'll see our reviews will be Oscar based, and then right before the Oscars is released, we'll jump right on and give you our nominations and who we think will win. So, we'll take their nominations, and then we'll tell you who we think will win the award. 7. Anything else, Booty?
Nah, darling.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by Fade to Black Cinema, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Bye.